The time is 9:37 p.m. Good evening. The news analysis. Today's headline: Protesters storm National Assembly. Amotekun arrests 3 herders in Ondo State. According to the news published by Politics Nigeria, a group of men and women carrying placards with inscription against the indigenous people of Biafra, the anti-Biafra protesters, stormed National Assembly. A protest against the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, was held today at the National Assembly in Abuja, and it was led by Chukwuka Ofuegbu alias Ijeli. Also, Ondo Amotekun arrests 3 herders, 180 cows for flouting anti-open grazing law. The Ondo State Security Network Agency, also known as Amotekun, on Tuesday arrested 3 herdsmen and 180 cows for flouting the state government anti-open grazing law. The state commander of the corps, Chief Adetunji Adeleye, who disclosed this in Akure, the state's capital, said that the herders and cows were arrested around Okeala area of Akure. Adeleye said, "We arrested about 180 cows. They are in our custody as we speak, and we intend to release them to the owners after complying with the regulations as contained in the anti-open grazing law." And the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, on Monday has assured that the 40 milliwatt Dandinkowa power project in Gombe State would soon receive the federal government's intervention. Also, Aliyu added that he will review relevant papers pertaining to the project and provide appropriate recommendation for its completion. A statement issued on Monday reviewed. The minister stated this during a courtesy visit to the governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya, to his office. And the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment says that current e-commerce spending in Nigeria is estimated at about $13 billion per annum and projected to rise $75 billion in revenue by 2025. Dr. Evelyn Ngige, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, disclosed this on Tuesday in Abuja at the 2nd National E-Commerce Roundtable organized by the Ministry. E-commerce in post-COVID-19 economy, potential change in business outlook, and shifting domestic and global policies on commodity trade is the theme of the roundtable. Noting that Lagos State residents have been assured of a motorable road network in spite of persistent downpours being witnessed across the state in the past couple of weeks. The assurance came from the General Manager of the Lagos State Public Works Corporation, Engineer Olufemi Daramola, while speaking on the implications of a torrential rainfall in many parts of the state. And the news headline analysis is not far-fetched that some protesters has actually stormed the National House of Assembly to protest against the indigenous people of Biafra, and also the members of civil society organizations on a Wednesday staged a peaceful protest tagged Occupy NAS today at the National Assembly Abuja to demand for immediate passage of Electoral Act 2010 Amendment Bill. The group also accused the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, and Speaker of House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, of working in cahoots with some people to frustrate the passage of the bill into law. The placards carrying protesters under the auspices of Alliance of Civil Society Organizations for Expansion of Electoral and Democratic Space Access said that Nigerians were concerned that the leadership of the National Assembly had failed to meet 2 deadlines, December 2020 and March 2021, set for the passage of the bill. The protesters defied the heavy presence of armed policemen drafted to the main gate of the complex and vowed to sustain the occupation of the building until their demands were met. Speaking on behalf of the coalition, Ariyo Dare Atoye said it had come to the knowledge of the group that the Joint Committee of the National Assembly had completed the technical process on the bill and it was ready for 3rd and final reading, but the leadership of the chambers were obstructing its transmission to the plenary for consideration. Atoye said that the leadership of 2 houses of the Assembly must demonstrate that they are not part of an emerging conspiracy within the current ruling political elite to scuttle the conduct of 2023 elections. They must immediately ensure passage of the Electoral Act 2021 on or before June 9, 2021, when the 9th legislative shall clock 2 years, to show Nigerians that they are patriotic and committed to free, fair, and credible election. And as if this is not enough, there is another one that has just happened again, where some youths actually stormed the NAS, that is the National Assembly, with inscriptions against the indigenous people of Biafra. They call themselves the anti-Biafra protesters. And the protest was actually held today at the National Assembly in Abuja, and it was led by one Chukwuka Ofuegbu alias Ijele. And also, it was said that the Ondo State Amotekun had actually arrested 2 armed herdsmen and 200 cows. The 2 armed herdsmen and at least 200 cows were arrested by the Ondo State Security Network, also known as Operation Amotekun. The herdsmen were arrested with their cows in around one Ijare Road in the Federal Local Government area of the state. And they said that they arrested the 2 herdsmen and seized about 200 cows, and that it was the villagers that invited them when the cows had destroyed their crops on the farms. They said that the herdsmen attacked some Amotekun officials during the raid by opening fire on them, and that when they arrived here and wanted to resolve the matter, the herders just opened fire on them, and that thank God for the bulletproof vest on them, that they would have killed some of their men during the attack, but none of their men was actually injured, where they told the journalists that the suspects have been handed over to the police for proper investigation and prosecution. The state chairman of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria said that the matter has not been brought to his notice. And this is among the facts, the news that the state commander of the corps, Chief Adetunji Adeleye, disclosed again that in Akure, the state capital, said that herders and cows were also still arrested around Ukiala area of Akure, and arrested about 180 cows which are still in their custody as they speak, because in Ondo State the anti-open grazing law has actually been enacted and effective. And also the federal government assures Gombe of intervention of 40 milliwatt power projects in Gombe State, where the Minister of Power Abubakar Aliyu on Monday assured that they will soon receive the federal government intervention. That appropriate recommendation for its completion for the completion has actually been reviewed. And also the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment has also promised that the current e-commerce spending in Nigeria is estimated at about $13 billion per annum, and projected to rise to $75 billion in revenue by 2025, where they say that e-commerce in post-COVID-19 economy, potential change in business process outlook, and shifting domestic and global policies on commodity is the theme of the round table, because they are going to be holding a second national e-commerce round table meeting very soon, and that was organized by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Lagos State too has actually been complaining of heavy downpours in the state, but one engineer Olufemi Daramola, who happens to be the manager of Lagos State Public Works Corporation, has said that they would look into it, and find solutions to the implications of the torrential rainfall in many parts of the state. Thanks for listening. Good evening.